Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the ATP Marketing Growth Workshop for APAC region. Glad to have you all for the next 90 minutes. This session will record and you will get all the slides and recording thereafter. And drop your questions in the chat. We'll cover them along the way and during the Q&A at the end. And quickly on the agenda, we'll cover proven go-to-market framework, show you how to maximize the partner marketing resources already available to you, and you will leave with a ready-to-execute 30-day action plan, plus how to qualify for the additional 25% of enrollment discount under the ATP Partner Activation Program. So, as speakers today, we have our Chief Commercial Officer, Ben Watson, and our Strategy Director, Rahul Shrivastava. So, we'll take us through it all. So, with that, I'll just hand over to Rahul. Rahul, over to you.
Thank you so much, Akash. Very good morning, good afternoon to people who have joined us. My name is Rahul Shrivastava, and I head partnerships for APAC region. And I'm excited to join by Ben Watson. Welcome, Ben, for the session. And together, we would be looking forward to sharing how you can successfully build and grow AI certification programs in a rapidly changing market. We all have worked before in some or the other capacity. In some mail chains, we all have been introduced. We would have worked in sales sessions or in marketing sessions, but this is a great time for all of us to gather in between the year and try to refocus in terms of how we can work together to ensure that we influence the customers to really go with what we have today. So let's start with a simple idea. We all know customers don't buy certification, they invest in outcomes. They want better career opportunities. They want to shape up the skill gap. They want relevant course curriculum rather than a very generic AI noise that has been happening around the world today. So we are today, as of what we see, we are today at a inflection point where AI is no longer an optional AI strategy, but it has become foundational across every industry. So that means that AI is industry specific, it is role specific, and of course, it is no more very generic in terms of what we do. So the partners who succeed won't just talk about AI, they will now go clearly and connect the learning outcomes to the business impact. So that's what today is all about. We will walk you through how to simplify your messaging, understand your audience, and communicate in a way that really drives action for us. Because in the fast moving space like this, at least where AI is staggering at more than 38% in few regions, clarity and relevance will be the only thing that will be winning for our partners. And whatever we have seen in the last 1 year where the partners have done really well, these are all the best practices that we have accumulated so that we can share it across with you. By the end of this session, as Akash rightly pointed out, you will have a practical strategies to market more efficiently, stand out in a crowded space that is now getting more crowded, and ultimately grow both your impact and your revenue. So the intent is very simple for this session. By the end of session, you will walk away with a clear, structured marketing plan that you can execute within 30 days. I would highly appreciate everyone to be very participative, because this is not a monologue, this is not a webinar, this is working together and ensuring that we get inputs from you as well, so that we can, at the end of the session, we can also take up your questions and have some clarity, if not 100%, to get you where you are to where we want you to be there, right? So Ben, anything to start, anything you have in your mind to give any starting remarks, or shall we go ahead and start the into the conversation?
No, I think we're all good. Let's rock and roll. Let's jump right in.
Great. Thank you. So I think, Chitra, if you can just move into the next slide, I would like to take up, few more 2 to 3 slides in terms of setting up the context for everyone in terms of what we are doing today, and then we'll then have a complete, comprehensive session by Ben in terms of how the overall, uh, you know, uh, marketing execution plan should look like, and what are the key requirements for that. So your 90 minutes are mapped here. Again, as I mentioned earlier, this is a working session and not a webinar. We are not here to share information because that's already available on internet. We are here to build something actionable together with whatever best practices we would have gathered in over last at least 1 year. We will start with a quick diagnosis of what's not working today with our partners, then move into simple execution framework, and most importantly, we'll spend time helping you build your campaign live. So the session objectives would be now told. I think if you can just read it out, your 90 minutes, how they are going to be mapped. We will also be sharing this PPT with you after the session so that you have a comprehensive understanding of what we intend to do in this session and what we have already done it. So can you just go on to the next slide, Chitra? So I think this is the objective of the session. At a very high level today, what we are solving as a core problem where we have seen partners, facing issues with marketing execution. Specifically, what we are going to help you with today is identify where your current approach is breaking down, give you a structured and repeatable framework that helps you predict the revenue in much more better way, and enable you to move from ad hoc activities to a consistent campaign execution. Now, alongside, we will also want to make sure that there is a strong alignment and momentum towards what is being reciprocated here. So we have tied this to a clear performance incentive that you see in the dark blue the dark blue table. If you launch a pre-approved campaign and participate in performance tracking, you would get 25% flat discount on every enrollment that you do for the next 90 days. And also with that, you will have a complimentary sales enablement session with the leaders to ensure that sales and marketing together go hand in hand, and there is no looking back in terms of anything that can reflect upon where we would have not pushed marketing, or we would have pushed marketing and we have not pushed sales. So to just balance out everything, I think this is going to be one of the levers for everyone to know that you are going to get an additional 25% discount on enrollments. Second is a complimentary sales enablement session. This implies that we are also acknowledging the challenges does exist, and actively investing in helping you to overcome those challenges is where the strategic partnership comes into play. uh, Chitra, if you can go on to the next slide, I want to talk about the real diagnosis and the current reality that we have seen across the partners. So let's start with what we have seen across partners globally, and the pattern is actually very consistent. Very few partners run structured ongoing campaigns, which means that either they do not have a big team or a small team, and they do not know, if they have a small team, how to run AI campaigns structurally using AI in their current framework or workflows. This again becomes a problem because then lead flow trends becomes inconsistent, which ideally makes your entire funnel unpredictable about what revenue you are going to predict in the next, let's say, 3 months, 2 months, or maybe next 2 quarters. And that's where there's a limited visibility into what's actually happening in the funnel. Your conversion drops, your top of the funnel drops, maybe your top of the funnel is heavy, and then your bottom of the funnel drops, or something that cracks in the middle of the funnel. Now, it's very important to really understand every stage of the funnel to ensure that the benchmarked percentages or the conversions are aligned with the industry, and we are not doing something exceptionally low versus exceptionally well. There's a balance of both of it. So what we see as a common trend today is marketing. In fact, in our organization, in our in multiple brands that we cater to right now, there are multiple things that we have seen. One of the behavioral aspects that we have seen is marketing really starts with a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and it loses momentum over a period of time, and that's because there are no early wins. And then you lose the conviction in the product, belief in the product, and then slowly and steadily it makes you believe that what you are doing is not working, or maybe you're not targeting the right geography, there's no right product market fitment. Then you start questioning all those things that really do not uncover the the symptoms, I would say the problem, but they uncover the symptoms of the problems. So and at this stage, across all stages, be it partners who are onboarded versus partners who are onboarding versus partners who are active, or partners who are actually doing revenue every month, one important thing that we have seen is customers already know what is AI enablement, but they don't know how to define it yet. So the role of marketing is going to play a very important role in terms of positioning the product, helping customer easily identify that these are the kind of solutioning that we need for our current problems, and understand their need, and then accordingly position the complete brand using AI certs versus what you already have in the market. So with that, this is just very high level core diagnosis that we have done, we have understood. I don't want to really go deep into it because Ben is going to take us through that. But again, just on a high level, these are few things that I wanted to highlight. If you want to make notes of it, start making notes of it. It would really help you understand what are the key learnings from the past uh, partnerships that we have had, be the best practices, be the practices where we have failed, so that we can learn from it. Chitra, I would appreciate if you can go on to the next slide, where I would like to talk about the real core problem. So when we break this further down, the issues becomes very clear that this is not a product or a, I would say, infrastructure or a resource problem. You already have 70 plus certification across industries and across the roles. Sales enablement support is already available with us, where you have your partner success managers, you have all the battle cards available. If you talk about marketing assets and campaign kits, which is again available on the partner portal, which are plug and play, but if you need something more customizable, we have partner marketing managers to support that. And of course, the strong brand credibility in the last 1.5 years, let me add, we proudly want to say that we have added more than 300 plus partners just in 1.5 years, which is also a validation of the fact that the need is real, the market is real. It's just that we need the right marketing to really pump our sales and ensure that there is a complete ecosystem that is supportive to what we want to achieve. So what is missing on the right side of it? A structured execution system, a clearly defined funnel, which I already mentioned, and a consistent campaign rhythm. Because campaign management is also about reading your funnels through and through, optimizing it day in day out to ensure that you get the right sweet spot, and you ensure you get the right uh, right leads. And this is exactly what we have emphasized. This is not an execution, I would say this is an execution challenge, but not really a capability, infrastructure, resource, or a product problem. So today, that is what we are going to solve. I'm just going to take another 5 more minutes, or maybe 3 to 4 minutes, to give you a little more comprehensive understanding of what Ben is also going to cover, and how we are going to make it a little more comprehensive in terms of making you know about what are the key ICPs that you need to follow, who are the customer segmentation, who you should be looking after in terms of your existing customer base, and how you have to put your messaging and framework around it. So Chitra, if you can go on to the next slide. I think the core problem is now further divided into the marketing gaps, where I have 5 different blocks to it. If we go deeper, the consistent 5 gaps that you see across the partners is no clearly defined ideal customer profile, right? I mean, there's no definition of who the customer is, who we need to target, because now AI coming in, we all know that uh, it's not about just the HRs and the CHROs of the company that we want to target. Now it might be that you have to target the CIOs, the CSOs. You might have to broaden. So in one company, you might have multiple stakeholders when you're talking about an AI conversation. So no clearly defined ideal customer profile has been one of the key points that we have identified over a period of time. No structured go-to-market approach, no active demand generation campaigns, where you have to, either it's a paid campaign, either it is SEO, SEM. Weak positioning and messaging. The messaging framework becomes very imperative and critical for customer to really get an understanding of what they are looking at versus what you're offering. Sometimes a lot of complex messaging and positioning does not help the customer to really know what your offering is, and they end up just clicking onto your website and dropping it from there. And of course, when you don't have all these things, there's no repeatable mechanism to have repeatable business, right? So one important shift we all need to know here is AI is not just an IT conversation anymore, right? Your buyer exists across the value chain, be it sales, HR, marketing, leadership, operations, finance. So which means within a single organization, you may have multiple stakeholders and multi entry points. So if we don't define this clearly today, we end up maybe doing a lot of activities which are not outcome related, and it will be all scattered efforts and low conversion. So I think on a high level, these are the key gaps that we have identified. Chitra, if you can go on to the next slide, I just wanted to tell what these gaps does to the business, and then I will hand it over to Ben to take it forward. So I think
So Rahul,
yeah,
just to jump in, right? Let's see how well people are doing and where they're struggling. If we go back one slide, take us
sure, Ben.
through that bottom box, right? The reflection thing. What do you want us
So,
to?
which of these challenges best reflects your current situation? I think, of course, I know the answer because I've been doing this. If everyone can really participate and put it on the chat, right? Whether you are not having a clear ideal customer profile, you don't have structured go-to-market approach, or all of them, right? I mean, it can be all of them as well. So, if you can put it on the chat, it would be helpful for us to contextualize the further conversation. So, thank you, Ben, for reminding me on that. If you can put it on the chat, it would be really helpful. Akash, and if you can read out for us if there's anything on the chat so that we would be able to address it. Feel free to be very open and transparent in writing it down, even if it is all of the above. So this is something
So
which is yeah.
yeah, while we're waiting, right? We're spending 1 or 2 minutes on this, right? In the chat, type in just as simple as 1, 2, or 4 or 5, just the numbers, right? Wherever you're challenged today, if it's no clear ideal customer profile or targeting, if you think you're struggling with positioning and messaging, type that into the chat. And remember, inside the chat, if you're not already looking at the chat, please go and open up the chat, because this is going to be an interactive workshop, right? So we're going to be asking you to do things. We're going to be asking you to give some feedback. And very much like we're asking here on this slide, we're going to do this through the chat. Okay, we're not going to ask people to come off mic and speak or turn on their video and things like this. We're going to make it easy. Just going to use the chat. So already, right, we're starting to see from a number of different people that their challenges are fairly diverse, right? Now, no one so far has said, I have challenges across all 5, right? I don't yet see someone say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We're seeing things like, 4s and 3s and at the beginning, kind of a 1 and a 2 or a 1, 2, 3. The goal behind all this stuff is this helps us tailor the workshop as to where we want to go a little bit deeper, where there's some common challenges that people are facing. Okay. Now, we're going to move forward. Rahul can move forward to the next slide in a moment. The key thing is understanding that we have over 500 partners today, right? The majority of them are doing fine, right? It's what we're trying to do during this workshop is sharing with you those best practices. Why are those partners doing better than other partners? What are some of those things that they do, those best practices that can help us go from making people aware of your offerings to getting the leads, creating the opportunities, and closing the deals? This is why we call it an acceleration workshop, right? These are best practices to help you get there faster on these things. So, 2 tasks while Rahul continues through a slide. 1, please introduce yourself in the chat. It can be as simple as your name, your role, the name of the company, and where you're located. Right. So, for example, I put into the chat. I'm a Canadian living in Raleigh, North Carolina. Right. In addition to introducing yourself, by now you should have put in where you face those challenges across those 5, and we'll go deeper into those things throughout that session as well. Okay, so Rahul, I'm going to hand things back over to you, and this was our first interactive part of today's session.
Thank you, Ben. I think that's really great to know what people are typing in. So as we really mentioned about contextualizing the entire workshop, because it's it's customized basis real-time feedback that we get it, so that we can help the partners to the core. So what does it all lead up to? I think I've mentioned about the gaps, I've mentioned about marketing gaps, the levers that are important, and then of course, how does this impact the business? So I think these are six different bullets, where inconsistent or no lead generation, heavy dependence on manual outreach or referrals, limited scalability, and no clear way to measure or improve the performance, which ultimately, what we have seen, results in stagnant or slow growth rate. But the bigger risk is timing, because if you are not able to do it, there's another one who's going to pop up and probably capture that particular market share of yours, or market share that is open right now, which is not being captured. So every month with structured execution is a month. I mean, if there's no structured execution, I would say that's a month lost with opportunities that existed, and that's a loss to the business. And as Ben also rightly mentioned, that we all entered, into this partnership with the expectation of being successful together. So this session is about making a lot more predictable and repeatable revenue growth engine, to ensure that we have a lot more prediction in terms of what we want to do and what we want to achieve from revenue goal perspective. So over to you, Ben. I think we would now want to understand very specifically in terms of all the key aspects that we just discussed in terms of problem statement. How do we unfold and ensure that we really talk about the problems and not the symptoms, and then go one by one into deep into it, so that the partners can be ready to really go live with what we expect from them.
Perfect. Sounds good. Well, Rahul, first, thank you very much for taking us through kind of that diagnostic, right? Why we're all here today, some of these things that we're seeing from our partners, categorizing those challenges. And now what we're going to do is we're going to spend roughly the next, 45 minutes diving in deeper. So like Rahul said, you walk away with an action plan. Okay, so I want to emphasize a couple of things that Rahul's already covered in today's session. One, this is part of several different ways that we support you as a partner. Okay, so today is a marketing acceleration workshop. We're sure at the end, another workshop that we're going to put on with you, really a private one-on-one with your sales team, focused on enabling your sales team, right? We're going to encourage you to reach out to your partner success manager and understand their role and the role of our partner marketing managers, and make sure that you're able to leverage these things. So this is the beginning of a journey to start accelerating your business, okay? This is a select workshop, right? We're only invited partners that we feel that we can really help by sharing these best practices, the structure, the framework, and all the next steps. But it's going to take the two of us working together to get these things done, okay? In the end, you need to have a marketing plan and put that marketing plan in place. And we're going to be with you every step of the way. So let's go to the first slide in my section. All right. So Rahul touched on this, and I want to go deeper and define these things. And then we're going to talk about ways to go and solve the challenges in every one of these boxes, right? Now, you should be able to see, right, from left to right, it is a funnel or a customer journey or a customer life cycle. All that means is there are steps you need to take in order to get to that last box of converting someone's interest into an actual sale. Okay. Now, the goal behind what we're taking through in this framework is the last three bullet points are really important. And this is where we see the partners that are struggling, often the roots of their struggle. What I mean by that is clarity and focus. We offer over 80 different certification programs. They are very diverse, both in terms of 1-day courses, 5-day courses, self-paced, instructor-led. But even within that 80, like Rahul said, we're focused on job roles and industries. So no partner ever offers all 80 plus certifications. It doesn't make sense. We have certification programs focused on healthcare, on construction, on legal and marketing, and standard roles across an organization. You need to work on where do you want to focus? Who do you want to target? How are you going to target them, right? For example, one of our certification programs is quantum computing. There are only 3 instructors in the world who are certified as AI CTs to deliver that course. Not many partners are delivering quantum computing, right? If they do, they're very focused on attaching, going after that particular audience that needs that particular certification. So goal number 1 of the framework is we're going to help you think through what does that clarity look like? What does that focus look like? If you go to market and you say, I offer everything, then you have to explain everything. And now you're getting to very generic messaging. You're looking for a very specific company or maybe individual and helping them with their very specific point of pain by promoting a very specific certification program. Okay, that's one of the first things around this framework. The other one is consistency, and if maybe you're like me, um, in the early days of my career when I went through sales and marketing in my different roles, I would do a LinkedIn post today, and maybe on Friday I'll do another one, and over the weekend I maybe would do 2 or 3 and things like that. The inconsistency of marketing poses a big problem. Effective marketing is scheduled weeks in advance. Let me say that again. Effective marketing is scheduled weeks in advance. Effective marketing is a campaign, a theme, so that when you're doing your posts, they all relate to one another. It's not, oh, today I'm going to post about AI plus legal and see if I can find some lawyers that need it. And then tomorrow I'm going to go and post on something else, right? The consistency becomes really important. Do your marketing every day. Do your marketing and have that schedule planned out weeks in advance. You should be writing your LinkedIn content, creating your visuals, your graphics, your messaging. We're going to talk about different ways of communicating that message through channels, right? But being very consistent is one of the things that we have observed with partners that are very successful. They have a plan and they follow the plan. And the last thing is, if you do everything we're going to take you through today, you're going to have a model where you can do it again and again and again. And what I mean by that is, what I said earlier was, well, there's 80 plus certifications, right? There are certifications designed for different types of industries, different types of enterprises, and different types of job roles. Very few partners go after just one of these. They often have multiple campaigns in office, but these campaigns are targeted towards different audiences, right? So you can go and have 3 or 4 campaigns in market. What we don't recommend is have one inconsistent marketing plan where you're promoting everything. That doesn't help going after those specific individuals. Now, if we look at these boxes, ICP, ideal customer profile, who are you going to target? What industry? What job roles? Who's the decision maker? The geography and all the rest. We're going to go deeper into these boxes. Once you know who you want to communicate to, what's the offer to them? What do you think their point of pain is? And what is your solution to helping them with that point of pain? Now, this isn't like, well, man, I just want someone to buy the courses, right? People buy from you to solve a problem that they're facing. I call it a point of pain, right? My team is challenging or is finding it challenging to get ready for AI. My company has rolled out new tools around AI, and not everyone is using them effectively, right? I'm in a job role and I feel like I need to get ready for AI. Those are different points of pain with different types of solutions, right? Now, once you know that audience, once you know their point of pain and how you think you can solve it, you need to communicate it through a channel. What's a channel? A channel is LinkedIn posts, a webinar, sending email, doing an X or a Twitter post. These are channels of communication. And there's different WhatsApp is a communication channel. You could send messages through WhatsApp. You could do messaging through a webinar. You could do it through a LinkedIn post. You could do it through paid ads, right? You could do it through posting on on social media. That's how you deliver your message. And then in terms of delivering that actual message, well, you need some content. You need graphics, you need video, you need text, right? I'll take you through the partner portal during this session, and I'll show you over 1,000 files exist in the marketing library of the partner portal with pre-designed graphics and videos and templates and social media kits and things like this. There are so much assets available for you to go and reuse, edit, and customize, right? And then that leads into conversion, which is you don't want someone to read your LinkedIn post and say, "Well, that's interesting." What's the call to action, the CTA as they call it? And how does that call to action end up converting into a lead? We're going to take you through these different boxes. Okay. All right, let's go to the next slide. Let's dig into this stuff. Meanwhile, if you're joining us, we got a good size group in this session today. If you've just recently joined us, please introduce yourself through the chat. We're going to be using the chat during this session, getting some feedback from you, getting some guidance, helping understand where you're at and things like that. So let's get used to using the chat. Now, those 5 things, right? I love this slide because it puts some of these key bullet points. When we talk about the need to understand who you're going to focus on, we call that the ideal customer profile. Okay. Your ideal customer profile can't be anyone or everyone, right? You really want to have that focus. What do I mean by that? What industry do you want to go after? Well, I want to go after all of them. Well, you can't, because the way you communicate to different industries and the pain points that they have is quite different. What do I mean by that? Some partners are really focused on going after healthcare, for example. It's an industry they know well, and the pain points in the healthcare industry is one, how is AI being used by healthcare professionals? What are the rules and the regulations in the healthcare industry they need to be aware of? What are some of the common tools that people are using in the healthcare industry? That's the healthcare industry. If you go and look at banks, and banks is part of the financial services industry, the challenges that banks are facing when it comes to getting ready for AI is quite different. The roles inside a bank are different than a doctor and a nurse inside the healthcare industry. This is why it's important that first bullet point is what industry do you want to focus on? What are the common job roles being impacted by AI in that industry? Where do you want to focus? Now, I've met with some partners and they're like, well, man, I want to focus everywhere. It's the internet. I want to sell at everyone. It doesn't work that way, right? Many of our partners focus on a particular country or region, and they go and understand the needs of that region. What do I mean by geography? Well, if I'm a partner in the US, I am worried about a different set of problems than if I'm a partner, say, for in Europe. Europe just introduced the EU AI Act. This regulatory compliance with financial penalties if you're not giving your employees who are using AI tools basic AI literacy, understanding what AI is. If you're in Europe, that region, that geography of the world is really starting to react to this new EU AI Act. In India, India has passed and continues to focus on passing some additional rules and regulations. So companies in India are facing different challenges than companies in the US. This is why it's important to understand and put in that focus, right? Company size. Well, Ben, I want to go after anyone, any size companies. Small companies don't have money to spend. Big companies have money to spend, but it takes forever to work with them. Our sweet spot across the entire partner ecosystem in every country around the world generally is what we call the mid-market, 500 to 5,000 employees. We consistently find that partners that target companies of that size, those companies, that mid-market company, with 500 employees, they have money to spend. They have that money, that number of employees because they're successful in what they're doing. They can afford to hire 500 people or more. And they're not too big that you get stuck into the complexity of larger organizations. What do I mean by that? A company that's larger than 5,000 employees, you have to convince the decision maker to buy from you. Then you have to go and convince the finance team, the CFO, to approve the finance. You usually have to do a legal review with the legal team. And then you have to do a data privacy and a security review with the IT team. That is standard stuff when you work with these large 5,000 plus employee companies. You don't want to get into that, right? And sometimes partners are like, well, Ben, like, I want to get the big deals, right? And I can only get the big deals from big companies. You generally don't want to focus on the big companies yet. Focus on that mid-market side of things. And then understand the pain points from everything you just defined. Industry pain points, the job role pain points, the challenges the region or the country is focused on, the challenges of a company size, right? Mid-market companies, they have money to spend. They're not too, rigid in terms of structure and different buying groups, as we call them. But the pain points of a mid-market company is they're trying to move fast. Mid-market companies are generally, I see the potential value of AI. I want to move faster. I have my competitors using AI. I want to move quickly. This is one of their pain points. Now, why am I hammering home on this? Because this first box, number one, is the building block for the rest. If you do not have well-defined ICP, you're not going to be successful. Now, you can have multiple ICPs, like I said before. Maybe you want to go after the healthcare industry. You want to go after general enterprises, right? And you want to go after financial services. Pick one, pick two, pick three. Don't pick five, don't pick 10. And don't be generic. You have to put a plan in place. Now, once you get all this stuff done, once you know who you're targeting, right? I mentioned this earlier, but then it becomes the offer. You know who you want to talk to, the industry, where they're located, their company size, their pain points. What is your offer to them to solve that pain point? And it can't be, well, I want to help everyone get ready for AI. Different job roles have different pain points. Different industries have different pain points. What do I mean by that? Let's again, healthcare, right? Here in the U.S., healthcare is always a big topic. Um, Big uptake or usage of AI inside the healthcare industry. What would be my offer to someone in the healthcare industry? Well, I would go and promote AI plus doctor, AI plus nurse. Would I promote quantum computing course? No, I wouldn't, right? So you attach to your ICP a very specific offer, usually with one certification. Well, Ben, wait, like for healthcare, we have, several healthcare certifications. Yes, but in the end, you want to talk about a few of them. Why? The goal of the offer is to simply get someone's attention. You're not trying to sell them at this point, right? As much as we wish people would see a LinkedIn post from you and go, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Where do I buy it? If you're selling to enterprises, if you're selling to organizations, if you're selling to these mid-market companies, they will need to see from you several different things over a period of time. Every company that you catch attention of will want to understand more about your offer. They're going to go to your website. They're going to do some research, right? You want to make sure that you're doing things to get their attention. What is the goal of the offer? The goal of any marketing offer is to get that person to contact you. What do I have to say in my offer to get someone's attention, right? I probably several weeks ago, working with a partner who was selling to a hospital system in the Middle East, a collection of hospitals. And they were like, oh my gosh, you guys have certifications for nurses and doctors? That's amazing. I didn't even know that. Tell me more. We didn't go in and talk about the 80 roles and all this stuff, right? That partner did marketing around. We have certifications to help accelerate getting doctors, nurses, and healthcare professionals ready for AI. And people inside the healthcare industry, inside that country in the Middle East, they reached out and said, tell me more. I'm a hospital. I see a lot of generic AI training out there. I'm really confused. I'm not even sure what AI is. Can you help me? And that offer drove a lot of engagement. Now, once you have cleared and defined that offer, again, usually promoting one or two, right? If you're promoting more than one or two certifications, then in those posts that you do and the webinars and the emails and all the rest, well, you have to communicate, well, doctor covers this and nurse covers this and this covers this and that covers that, right? You only have so much space, right, in order to communicate your offer. So keep it simple. But number three gets into what we talked about earlier, the channel. What channel is he going to use? I don't, I don't know. I'm going to use LinkedIn. Okay. What else are you going to use? I don't know. I'm going to use email. Make a decision. Okay. In EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, in Asia Pacific, marketing through WhatsApp is very common. In the Americas, right? Canada, the US, South America, Latin America, especially North America, Canada, and the US, no one uses WhatsApp. Literally no one. They do text messaging, but they don't do messaging or marketing and stuff like that through text messages. The cultural change is quite different. Pick one, two, or three of the channels to communicate that offer to the audience, the ICP that you defined. Now, we'll go a little bit deeper as we go through some of the scenarios, but this is important because now you're starting to see the clarity that you need to have in place. The content, I'll show you some of that content. The conversion is, I sent out emails, I did LinkedIn posts, I did a webinar, and every one of those things I did linked back to a landing page with a registration form. And some partners are even smart enough to put in a direct booking link to their calendars, right? That last step is probably one of the more important ones. You've done all the hard work. Who do you want to talk to? What do you want to offer them? How are you going to communicate that offer, right? How are you going to go and create that offer in terms of graphics and text and videos, right? But in the end, you want someone to reach out to you. That's it. Because once they reach out to you, then you can start selling. Then you can start having a conversation specific to that company, specific to that individual. You simply want to get someone to reach out to you. Okay. All right, let's go to the next slide. Let's go a little bit deeper on these things. Now, remember, we got 45 minutes left. We got lots of time to go through these things. This I did over the weekend just because I thought it'd be interesting to put together an example of a partner that I worked with, right? Now, this partner, right, many of you may fit this profile, right? Maybe not all of you, maybe not completely, but this partner, best intentions, right? New partner, very excited about the opportunity, very excited about the partnership with AI CERTs, but they were all over the place. Inconsistent marketing activities. It was kind of like, oh, well, if I have time today, I'll do something on marketing, is what the partners marketing team said, right? It's a very small company, right? They didn't have the notion of a campaign. They're just like, well, I post on things that I think people will find interesting. I post on things that I think people will find interesting. That's good. But if you don't have a plan in place where your posts kind of relate to one another, then you're just kind of reactively doing things. You don't have a plan in mind. And then the partner's like, yeah, well, I do these things. I post a couple of times a week. Maybe, I do more of my posts on the weekend because I'm not busy then. And I do a couple of posts. I don't get a lot of leads. And sometimes I get one or two leads a week, and sometimes I get zero, and sometimes I get five. And I'm like, well, does that relate to when you post? And they go, yeah, like the weeks where I post more, I tend to get more leads. Okay, well, why don't you post more? Right? So again, a lot of this was the lack of structure and inconsistency, right? How do you do your LinkedIn post? Do you have a regular format that you follow, right? When you post on Twitter or X, is there some consistency so that if someone says, wow, that's a really interesting post, I wonder what other posts they have. And they go to your LinkedIn profile, your corporate or company profile, and they look at your additional posts, can they easily see, oh, I clicked on this post because there's about, a legal topic regarding AI. Now I see they have other posts about legal topics. Is that structure in place? So what this partner did, very much like we've been talking about, they defined their focus, right? And they wanted to focus on IT professionals and academic students. Now, this is interesting because this is a small partner. This partner was, you know, not wanting to go and do things globally or even in a region. They were a small instructor-led training company, right? So they wanted to go after a specific city where they were located. They wanted to go after IT professionals and academic students because there was academic funding available within their country. And they were really comfortable with LinkedIn and webinars. They didn't want to do emails. There's some rules and regulations around emails in their country, WhatsApp, Twitter. they didn't find any of those things useful in the past. So selected two channels. They went into the partner portal and they downloaded some of the social media kits. If you're not aware of the social media kits, I'll take you through it. But these are some kits with pre-existing content and templates that allows you to go and edit and modify and customize them. And they use that as their basis of regularly posting on LinkedIn. And when they post them on LinkedIn, they were always linking to an upcoming webinar that they did. Everything they did drove to a webinar, right? And then they connected or conducted every month a 60-minute webinar, just once a month, right? And they were driving everyone's to it. I think they're up to 2 webinars a month, right? And then when they finished that webinar, they were doing follow-up emails. And they were sending out after you signed up for that webinar, whether you attended or not. Okay? Um, what they did was they follow up with 3 emails spaced a few days after the webinar, right? Well,
Mr.
right after the
Rahul.
webinar finished, when a few days later, and then a week later. Okay? So this allowed them all to um, be able to follow up even after that webinar is done. Now, what happened in the end? In the end, what happened was they were able to get, I think, I couldn't remember exactly, so I put a range in there, about 100 leads out of this. And they got about 25 enrollments. Now, remember, this was a company doing instructor-led training. They wanted to get individuals signed up for their courses. But now they were able to go and put in place a repeatable model. They now go, okay, I understand how to do it. I'm going to do a campaign. This campaign is going to be targeted to students. This campaign is going to be targeted to IT professionals. I'm going to do LinkedIn and webinars, and I'm going to use these kits. And then, regardless of the audience that they're going to go after and the offer they're going to
कैसे
make to those people, they were able to go and reuse
मार लिया
almost
सबका
that campaign template. Okay. All right. Now remember, everyone on the call, there's a little bit of background. There may be someone who's talking. Make sure that you have yourself
है
muted. Okay. And maybe Apkash or Raul, you can help us with muting
Yeah.
the
Yes.
attendee. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next slide and let's go a little bit deeper because that's kind of an example of the type of success that we hope people have. Right. All right. Next slide.
would you have fruit per plate
All right. We need to go to the next slide. Perfect. All right. So let's work about on this ICP. Okay. So in the chat, right, I put 12 minutes. We never do this in 12 minutes. It's always shorter, right? Tell me and post in the chat. Remember, anything you post in the chat, only us in AI certs can see it, right? It's not a public chat. It's a chat so you can chat with us. Give us some examples of one of your ideal customer profiles. This can be as simple as the example I gave before. Healthcare, I'm selling to a person in HR or learning and development. I am focused on India, and I'm focused on, I already gave the answer to this one. I'm focused on companies of size 500 to 5,000, and the pain point of healthcare professionals is X. Type that into the chat. Let's see what you guys are thinking. Okay. Now, if you don't want to put it in the chat, just write it down, right? Help define what your ICP is, right? Many partners have around 5 ICPs that they define. And they kind of either rotate their marketing campaigns going after different ICPs, right? Or they run 1 or 2 campaigns going after the ICPs, right? It's not often that they go after all 5 of their ideal customer profiles at the same time. It gets a little confusing to customers that are reacting to one campaign versus the other one, right? So, Some of you are going after, well, one is going after the standard enterprise, right? And going after, L&D.
Schools.
Another one is going after uh, small teams, small IT teams, and the job buyer, or not the job buyer, but the buyer is the leader of that team, not HR, not L&D, right? The chief technology officer, the guy who's running the IT team. These are all good examples, right, of the goal of this exercise is to make you think about who you're going to target. Because if you know who you want to go and talk to, that will then go and shape the offer, the way you communicate it, and all the rest, right? For example, generally speaking, we have very few partners successful using Facebook, right? Facebook is not the land or the place where professionals go and talk. It's usually LinkedIn, and it's often Twitter or X, for example, right? So having the clarity of who you want to go after, this becomes really important, right? Even the geography. I didn't mention it earlier, but language is another one, right? What languages are you going to go after? Oh, I'm going to go after Spanish. Great. You know, we have Spanish content, right? We have localized content. We have regional content. I'll show you when we log into the partner portal. We have social media kits. I think we have like a dozen now by country. There's social media kits for, different countries, different regions, right? So understanding even the language you want to go after. And then, some people are like, well, Ben, of course I want to do it in English. No, 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 it's not of course. You could do and go after people speaking Italian, right? People speaking a different language. That's your choice, but make sure you're listening down that choice. All right. Thank you for everyone who's sending us back that feedback. I gave you an example on the right-hand side, right? A worked example. I am a partner, and one of my ICPs is going after mid-market financial technology companies. I am looking to talk to the head of L&D, and usually in fintech finance companies, um, the chief technology officer has to approve the purchase, right? And that's often the case in financial services or the technical financial services companies, right? I said I want to go after my metro, my city, right? Everything in my city and around me. Most partners, right? If you're bigger, you're going after a country or a region as well. Um, Fintech companies tend to be small, right? These aren't banks, these are fintech companies providing financial technology services. Um, they typically are 200 to 1,000 employees, right? I always recommend 500 to 5,000, right? And in mine, I think the pain point for financial technology companies is they have teams that are using and shipping AI as part of their solution. These are or financial technology software companies, but their staff isn't trained on using AI, and that's a pain point for them. That's an example of it, right? Another one would be, I am going after the academic market, right? Quite different than healthcare, quite different than anything else. I'm going after the healthcare market. Inside the healthcare market or inside the academic market, who do you have? Well, I have usually three types of audiences, so they could be three different ICPs. I have the faculty and the teachers and the professors. That is one part of going after the academic market. I have the students themselves, and the students typically are ones who are looking to get a job or people who are looking to change careers. Those are three different ICPs, right? Talking to faculty is different than talking to the students. The whole goal of this exercise, though, is for you to figure out how do you want to combine these things together. I have partners here in the US, and they go after the academic market, and they deliberately in their marketing says, we can help get both your faculty and your students ready for AI. And that actually has worked out really well because a lot of academic institutions say, well, yeah, it's not just about my students. I also I need to get my own teachers up to speed, right? And that catches their attention. So they did, I know our partner of the year for North America is a company called ATCA, ATCA, and they've done a really good job on going after academic institutions with that hook of we can help both your students and your staff, your students and your faculty. And that got those institutions going, yeah, I actually have a pain point with both. And they reached out. All right, let's continue. And I keep an eye on the chat. Let's go to the next slide. All right, let's do, so if you're looking at the upper left-hand corner, work session 2 of 3. So we did the first one, and there's 2 more. This is the second one. Let's talk about the offer, right? In the chat, again, what would be the offer to the ICP that you previously put into the chat? Now remember, only us on the AI cert side of things can see what you're posting. The specifics doesn't matter to us in so much as we want you to think your way through it. You know your market better than we do, right? We want you to put some clarity and focus and definition behind the markets you want to go after. Okay, so an offer. What is an offer? Here's a pain point that I identified with my ICP. Here is 1 or 2 certifications that could help. What would catch their attention, right? If I was going after, the military, right? Or let's go after lawyers. Lawyers is a good one. If I was going after legal firms, right? What would be of interest to them? Well, AI plus legal and AI plus legal agent. There are 2 very specific ones. Now, of course, inside a law firm, there's lots of other roles. They have the standard HR, marketing, and all the rest. But what would get attention for someone who's working in the legal industry? Well, the fact that there's 2 role-specific, industry-specific certifications, AI plus legal, AI plus legal agent, right? What outcome would it deliver, right? What would we do? What would be the benefits they get from your offer? Not the features, right? Oh, it's a self-paced course. It's 8 hours long. It has 5 different modalities. You can watch the video. No, those are features, right? What's the outcome? Usually, and this is also ends up being your hook, is it allows this audience to quickly get up to speed on what AI is and how to use it in their job role. That's a big outcome, right? Now, usually the hook is you want to make it a sense of urgency, right? They may say, you talk to these lawyers and they're like, yeah, this is great. Like my law firm, they're starting to use AI. I don't really understand it. I got to get all my lawyers ready for AI, the paralegals, all those people. But yeah, like maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll do it next month. Your hook, right, is things are moving quickly, and there's a lot of law firms using AI, and there's a lot of rules and regulations around AI, and you're at risk if you don't get your lawyers using AI effectively. That's a really good hook, right? Here in the US, recently, there's been several lawyers who have been sanctioned by the courts for using AI inappropriately. They were using AI to create all the their legal briefings and stuff. They didn't check the work of the AI, and there's a lot of errors in that, right? So when you talk to lawyers, all that stuff is top of mind. Now, in your offer, right? What's the certification or certifications, one or two, that you would attach to help solve that problem? How does it solve the problem? Why do they need to buy it now versus waiting 3 months? And how do you want them to react? What's your call to action, right? Do you want them to register for the course, book a meeting with you, download a course outline? You can't do all three. What's your primary call to action? Most partners nowadays, I would argue their primary call to action is book a meeting. If you're selling to the enterprise, you want them to book a meeting so you can have a very specific one-on-one conversation. If you're selling to individuals, you probably want to do enrollments, right? You want to do register. If what I just said to you as an individual is appealing, click here to enroll in the course, whether it's instructor-led or a self-paced course, right? If you're not interested in immediate action, book a meeting with me, or failing that, go to the website and download the course outline or something like that. But you really want to give them one primary step. You don't want to give them three. You want to say, do this. And if you don't want to do this, maybe think about this or think about that. Okay. So again, lead example here. This was a partner who is in the IT services industry. They're really focused around infrastructure. That was their core market that they do. They offer a lot of services to infrastructure teams and even infrastructure companies, right? And they felt that those companies, their pain point was security, and the fact that a lot of what they call bad actors, the hackers, were using AI. And that was a common pain point they identified because they knew that the infrastructure industry pretty good. And they said, I think if these IT infrastructure teams took the AI plus networking certification program, they would be able to learn more about how to secure your network using AI, how to lock down AI being used on your network. And this was a European company. And oh, by the way, the EU Act is coming into effect around August of this year. So they worked that into their messaging, and their goal, their call to action was just very simple: book 20 minutes with me and let's assess where you're at. And I love the 20 minutes because usually people are like, well, book 30 minutes with me or an hour. No one ever has time to book an hour, right? Even if they are interested in you. But 20 minutes, most people are like, yeah, I have 20 minutes. Now, the nice thing about 20 minutes is it usually ends up being in a 30-minute block on your calendar, right? You have to allocate 20 minutes. What are you going to do with the remaining 10? You actually end up getting about 30 minutes. And they put a link to their calendar in every message. So they made it very, very easy for people to go and say, I'm interested. Click here. And they were able to bring up a real-time calendar, and they were able to go and book that meeting right away. Very, very effective. Much better than filling out a form or get back to you within 24 hours. They actually enable the person to book a time at their own convenience, right? All right, let's go to the next session. Now, again, all this stuff is to get you guys to think about how to do these things. What does your offer look like? Put it in the chat, right? What would that offer look like? What would you offer? What's the certification? It's not what's the discount and stuff. Like, what's the offer? Why this certification? How you think it solves that point of pain, right? Now, At this point, right, you identified the audience, you identified your ICP, you crafted your offer. Now you need to communicate it. Different communication channels require the content to be in different formats. What do I mean by that? Well, you don't put a video inside an email message generally, right? But in LinkedIn, you could put a video. Are you going to use LinkedIn? Are you going to do email, right? In Europe, for example, doing email prospecting emails is getting harder and harder. There's a lot of rules around, sending out emails to people that you don't have a relationship with, right? They kind of call it spam, right? Many of our successful partners have a webinar strategy. It is weird to me. Many potential customers, they don't like to open email. They like to click on LinkedIn posts, but they really like going to the webinars. It really feels like if the webinar is an educational webinar, people are willing to set aside 50 minutes of their time, right? Even though here I said 60 minutes, a lot of effective webinars, just like setting up the meetings, contact me to have a 20-minute meeting, one-on-one, a 10 to 50-minute webinar. They still need to block 60 minutes out on their calendar, but 50 minutes is, oh, okay, I got 50 minutes. Do you have an hour? I don't know, man. An hour's a lot of time, right? They have 50 minutes, right? WhatsApp or, places where people go, right? This is a different type of channel. Not everyone thinks through this, which is why I put it up on here. Um, a lot of our marketing is trying to get the people to come to us. I say something, you find it interesting, I want you to reach out to me, right? Book a meeting, fill out a form, give me your contact information, right? WhatsApp or community is about going to where people are already at, right? And again, it doesn't work for everyone, but there are audiences where there are industry associations, there are industry association websites, there are communities of practice that communicate by WhatsApp. I'm actually a member of several myself, right? And it's very interesting because it's kind of a text-driven, I mean, put pictures and graphics in it and video, WhatsApp community on things like, security and things like that. Pick one, two, maybe three channels in which to communicate your offer. You're going to do not one LinkedIn post, you're going to do a series of scheduled LinkedIn posts, right? Pushing everyone to the webinar that you're doing at the end of the month. You're going to send out email to everyone you've communicated in the past, right? Oh, by the way, we just are now offering this new certification, AI plus legal agent. I was thinking about you because in the past you've taken courses from us. Maybe you took AI plus legal, whatever. They're using email. LinkedIn, email, webinar. That's a pretty good trifecta of things. Okay. On the right-hand side, you can see an example of this. Okay. Now, again, knowing that we got 15 minutes left, the goal of this is to get you to think through this. Okay. What is your communication channels you're going to do? You can have multiple campaigns in market, as they say, but every campaign is made up of a targeted ICP with a defined offer using selected communication channels. Then you're going to go after someone else, and then you're going to go after a different ICP. This focus, this clarity, this structure is what makes our partner successful. Okay? Wishful thinking. I don't know why I don't have any business. Where's my business? I thought there's a big demand for this stuff. There is, right? There's tremendous demand for this stuff, but you have to go out and uncover it. They're not going to go and come to you magically because they don't know you exist. You're trying to drive awareness through these campaigns that lead to conversion. All right, let's go to the next slide. Now, I'm going to take over. I'm going to share my screen in a moment. I'm going to take you through the partner portal. If you've not been to the partner portal, please log in during the session or afterwards to go into these things. Why? Because look at the funnel stage on the left-hand side. This is your classic funnel. How do I get people aware of what I offer? How do I get people to think about or consider me as a solution to their pain point? How do I convert that interest into action? How do I convert it? And then if I'm not able to convert them right away, right? They didn't buy right away after they talk to me. How do I follow up and warm them up, keep them warm? How do I nurture them? Those are the funnels. Look at all the resources inside the partner portal that we offer for every stage of the funnel, from broad awareness to they become a customer of yours. Okay. Now, I always hate doing this, and bear with me because I'm going to replace the current share with another window. Let's see. All right, Rahul, can you see my partner portal page?
It's loading a bit.
All
Yeah,
right.
now
All
I
right.
can see it. Yeah.
I see it now. All right, I'm going to log in. Notice in the upper left-hand corner the address. Rahul, maybe you can put it in the chat or someone can put it in the chat. Partners.aicerts.ai. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and click on that tab called the resource library. This is where all of our marketing lives. Okay. You can see down here in the bottom left-hand corner, 1,185 files exist. This list right here is all the latest things, right? It's a chronological list of all the new stuff that just came out. So obviously we're updating AI plus video practitioner. There's an update on AI plus security practitioner. This is where I want you to go. Document types. And I want you to scroll down and see the different categories of the type of stuff that we have. We have battle cards, course blueprints, case studies. But as we start going down, ooh, there's an email marketing kit. AI certs outreach email, how to do outbound prospecting emails. You can look at it, you can download it. Okay, now I'm going to hit reset, change that to remove that filter. I'm going to keep going down. Enterprise AI readiness pitch deck. There are flyers, there are logos, marketing in a box. Woo, look at this. Marketing in a box. South Africa, Saudi Arabia, India, Kuwait. Marketing creatives. Those are graphics, right? Arabic, edible certification flyers, Spanish, right? Click on the next thing. Indonesia, email news kit, user generated content, UGC. Nordics, Benelux, webinar marketing kit. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at all this stuff. Some of these things, I don't even know where the marketing team did, right? Social media success kit. You want to know the best practices? Download that kit. Okay. So I'm going to hit reset. I'm going to continue scrolling all the way down, right? Partner meetings. We just had our last partner meeting yesterday. If you didn't attend, reach out to your partner success manager, right? Every partner has a partner success manager attached to them, right? And if you're like, I don't know who or what my partner success manager is, reach out to us, okay? Because every one of you has a team assigned to you. Sales enablement, social media kits, tools, right? These are some things you can use in your marketing efforts, right? Podcast, sales enablement, webinar, email drip campaign, webinar in a box, right? Here's one in AI Plus Foundation. All kinds of things in here for you guys to take advantage of. Okay. The goal is not to take you through every one of these things. One of your action items I want you to do is to go through here and find things of value. And if you find things of value, let your partner success manager know, right? We also have partner marketing managers um, to go and help you as well. So let's bring back up that deck that we were sharing before. Let's continue through that deck. But again, one of the action items coming out of this is we want you to work on a campaign. We want you to define your ICP. We want you to define your offer. We want you to select your channels, and we want you to share that with us. If you do this work from 90 days from when you launch the campaign, for 90 days, we're giving an additional 25% discount on everything that you sell. If you're willing to put in this hard work, we're willing to give you that financial incentive. All right, let's go to the next slide. Now, these are all the things I kind of flipped through quickly, right? But you're going to get a copy of this recording. You're going to get a copy of this deck. These are some things I want you to go look at. Okay, go look for those things. Okay. All right, next slide. Now, what's the plan? What's next? Okay. Do these as quickly as you can, right? First, ICP your offer. Give it to your partner success manager for feedback, right? These guys have partners that are successful. They exist to make you successful. Next, define your marketing channels. Prepare what we call your creatives, your ads, your graphics, your text. Set up a way to make sure you have a way of capturing your lead. Then you want to launch your campaign. When you launch your campaign, you've already been working with your partner success manager before this. Let us know what that campaign is and when you're launching it, right? So that we can say, okay, from that date forward for 90 days, anything we sell, we will discount 25% off the bill. And then, of course, you want to track your ongoing performance. We want you to track it as part of the requirements to get that 25% because we want to see how successful you are. Okay. So, what's the goal in the next 30 days, right? Or at least 30 days after you launch your campaign, we want to see if we can help you get 50 leads and 5 or more deals, not enrollments. You know, I always mean to change this. 5 or plus opportunities. Okay. If you do all the things and above, this is how you're going to get that 25% discount, right? Now, let's be really actionable because this is the challenge. If you're like me, you get pulled in 1,000 different directions. In the next 24 hours, look at the recording, look at the deck, go to the resource library in the partner portal, and create your checklist of the things you need to do. Define your ICP, define your offer, select your channels, right? In the following 48 hours, in the next 2 days, right, reach out to your partner success manager. It is crazy when partners are struggling that they're not working with their partner success manager. This is all we pay these guys to do is to help you. They're a resource for you, right? Your PSM and your partner marketing manager, right? In the next 7 days, submit your ICP, submit your campaign. Let's get it done in the next 7 days. Rahul said this early on, and I loved it, which is every day you're not doing this is a day of lost sales. None of this counts until you launch the campaign. No one knows who you are. They don't know what you're offering, right? They don't know your story, right? Get this in place, right? Now, after 7 days, right, as you get your campaign in place, you want to make sure you book with us your free sales enablement session. Why? You got to get your marketing done. You got to get your campaign live. Well, your campaign's going to generate leads. We got to get your sales team ready. This could be the same person if you're a small company, or in even, small companies, you have a marketing person and a sales team. Book that 60-minute one-on-one, us and your team, private session 60 minutes where you get your team ready on these things. All right, next slide. This is what that sales enablement session is. 60 minutes with your partner success manager, best practices on converting leads into opportunities. It's a private session and it's designed to link back to that specific campaign that you're doing. Okay. Really want you to reach out to your PSM and start all these different conversations. Okay. Because if your sales team isn't ready for the campaign that you just launched, then you're going to get all these leads coming in and they're not going to turn into deals. Okay. 10 leads would be exciting. 15 leads would be exciting. Wouldn't it be great if many of them converted into deals? All right, next slide. I'm going to hand things over to Rahul. He's going to take us home, so to speak, over the next several minutes. Rahul, over to you.
Thank you so much, Ben. Before we even close, Ben, I'd like to take a moment to thank you. I know how difficult it is to be awake at midnight and do this session. So really thankful
Midnight.
to you.
It's 3 a.m. here in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's now 4:30 a.m. But yes, more than excited. I love this stuff.
Your insights, Ben, your insights helped really. The session has been what exactly it is supposed to be. Staying focused towards customer, simplifying the messaging, driving a clear outcome. And the best part about the entire session was the examples that you shared. They were really so relatable. It helped everyone. I'm sure it helped everyone visualize how it looks in actuality, given that a lot of them were interacting on the chats. I'm sure you would not be able to see everything on the chat, but a lot of partners have been very actively interacting on the chat itself, which is a very clear leading indicator of the fact that there is a real intent to drive the success together. And that's where my next part comes into play, that before we move into Q&A, one important reminder to each and every one of you that you are not alone here. You are being, as Ben rightly pointed it out, that we are paying PSMs and PMMs. They are your employees on our payroll. So a partner success manager is focused on commercial outcomes. A partner marketing manager is focused on execution of those commercial outcomes. I mean, influencing the lead quality, influencing the customer base to ensure you have at the end of the funnel the sales coming in. From defining your ICP to validating your campaign to supporting launch and tracking performance. Let me be very honest in telling you, all our partner success managers and partner marketing managers are a part of this call right now. So I'm really thankful to each and every one of you attending this session. Before we go into the next slide, I would want everyone who has any questions around their partner success manager, partner marketing manager, feel free to ask it in the chat so that we will be able to pass it on to them and proactively we are on it, right? This is going to be a live Q&A, but of course, as Ben rightly mentioned, that I would not be able to unmute anyone, but I would expect everyone to be very proactive in the last 10 to 15 minutes. Ask us anything that you feel, which is as basic as asking about, what kind of market segment, what are the key certifications that are really flying in that particular market. Because I've also pointed it out that what are the partners, what we usually meet, ask us, right? They ask us all those 4 or 5 bullets that you see on the right side. If you have the same questions to ask, feel free to write in the chat. If you do not, you have different set of questions, feel free to write it in the chat so that I and Ben can answer those questions for you. Again, at this stage, I would strongly encourage everyone to be very vocal about your thoughts, how you see this workshop, because we are going to do a lot of this in the coming future, so that we keep enabling you and you keep pushing hard your limits to ensure that we are successful together. So if you have similar questions, this is the best time to clarify, because the goal is not just understanding, it is making sure that you leave with complete clarity in terms of what the execution would look like and how partner marketing manager and partner success manager would come handy in making you or making this particular entire re-engagement plan a very successful one. So Chitra, if you can read it out, if there's anything, or Akash, if there's anything that you would want us to answer, partners have their questions. And if at all you feel that this is not the right podium to ask these questions, honestly, this is a very closed room. We would encourage everyone to ask If not, you have your partner success managers and partner marketing manager that you can go to. In fact, after this session, they would also proactively reach out to you. And as Ben rightly pointed out, that next 24 hours, 48 hours, and 72 hours, and then the next 7 days are going to be very crucial to avail all the certain benefits that we have positioned for you to take advantage of. So being sending your ICP document to us, enrolling for your sales session, or maybe creating your GTM strategy with your partner marketing manager and availing 25% flat discount on every enrollment that you do starting today till next 90 days is going to be a key important factor in terms of getting the success there. So on that note, Akash, I would hand it over to you. If there's any question that if there are anything that you would want us to answer, I and Ben can answer those questions. If not, I would again take the biggest difference here. My last closing sentence would be the biggest difference here what we have seen between the partners who succeeded in the past and those who did not is the speed of execution and consistency in that execution. So just not the speed would work out. It has to be a balance of speed of execution versus that speed being consistent throughout. As I mentioned earlier, everyone is very enthusiastic, everyone is energetic at the start of it, and then the momentum goes down really. So that is where what we would be suggesting: define and submit your ICP, align your PSMs and PMM, launch your campaign in next 30 days. In fact, partners should launch it in next 15 days, and start tracking your performance with the right metrics. So that's pretty much from my
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Ben, you're saying something?
No, I was going to say let's go to the last slide, but that's all good. Just the commit side. I several conversations happening with us in the chat. I don't see anything here that we need to share back to the broader audience. They're all kind of one-on-one questions. Again, I would say as we wrap up today's session, one, we hope you got value out of it. We hope you're walking away with some things to do. If you're walking away going, well, this is good, but I'm not going to change anything, then we have failed, right? Hopefully we got you thinking about some action items. Let's get them done. Like Rahul said, the biggest thing is working with your partner success manager. Get these things done. Why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you take advantage of that extra 25% on anything you sell for the next 90 days once you get that campaign going, right? Let's be successful. Let's get this thing done. Let's not wait on this stuff either. All right, I'm just echoing everything Rahul you just said, but now you get it with my Canadian accent.
Thank
All
you.
right, let's wrap up the session. Let's get everyone back to work on this Wednesday.
Yeah, thank you, Ben, and thank you, Rahul. That was fantastic and full of practical takeaways. And thank you all for joining today. We hope you found it useful, and just keep an eye on your inbox. We'll send over the recording in a couple of days. And meanwhile, as Rahul and Ben mentioned, reach out to your PMM and PSM contact with any of the follow-up questions. So yeah, thanks again. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye,
Thank you, Ben.
everyone.
Take care. Happy Wednesday.